Last night we received an enormous update in the game, and my wife always knows that there is an enormous update in the game because those are the nights when we are quietly sitting there eating pizza, watching TV, and she looks over at me and says, "Should we watch something else?" Predominantly not because I'm reading the update, but because a dozen people are messaging me about the update and asking me when I'm going to hop online and start talking about it. Here's the deal. I am not a news anchor. I am not reading a teleprompter. I am not here to replace your ability to read. Uh, I like to formulate my thoughts. I like to figure out what I like about something and what I don't like about something. I like to get the pulse of the community and the concerns, and if possible, things that maybe Meathead has slipped into Discord as addendums to what is being said. Unfortunately, in this case, his official stance is I have no further information for you at this time, so we can only speculate. And I hate speculating. And while I do want to stress that I think that everything in this update is objectively positive, I do have questions and I do have a few concerns that I want to talk about. And we will do that after this super cool intro. Okay, so like I said, we got an update last night, or I should say we got the verbiage for an update because the update does not come out until today. If you're watching this beforehand, don't be one of those people that goes in the game, does something, and then says, wait, why is it not the way that they said? The update still does need to be released. We are going to do this a little bit out of order. But before we do that, I do want to point out that we did get kits for Kicks and Maz Kanata. We're not going to read them. That's not something that I typically do on my own. The only reason that I'm bringing that up is because you will notice in Maz Kanata's update is that she is light side and she is an unaligned force user, right? Which basically means she's going to be irrelevant for the team that she's actually a part of, and Ray is going to steal her. We will have a 9 Omicron team between Ben, Maz, and Ezra. So look out for that in the future. With that said, going into the actual game update, we are going to jump around a little bit, and there is a reason for that because there are specific talking points that I want to address in a certain way. And with that, we are going to skip down to the bottom over here to the quality of life upgrades. Before we do, I do want to go back to my Maz Kanata statements and just I have this fear that there's going to be like 8 people in the comments who are going to be like, well, it can't be. Maz is not going to be on a raid team because there are all these galactic legends and pirates tags and blah, blah, blah. I'm joking. I know I don't do that often, but I am joking. I think of Ray like that very funny video of the very stressed out and anxious lady watching the gentleman place the different shapes into that shape sorter toy, but they all go into that same shape in the shape sorter toy. It's funny to me. Laugh, don't laugh, but I don't actually think Maz is going to a raid team. Now that we got that out of the way, quality of life upgrades coming to the game soon, right? Soon TM, today, tomorrow, I have no idea. Leveling up your units just got cheaper, about 50% across the board. Awesome. We've earned all possible rewards from a reoccurring event. That event will no longer appear on the events tab. This includes reruns of marquee events, fleet mastery events, and proving grounds. Awesome. Don't have to deal with that anymore. Yeah, you can finally say goodbye to the finalizer and Radis tabs. Love it. You can now sim up to 100 battles at once on campaign nodes. This doesn't change the daily attempts limit on hard nodes. Now, this one I do actually find a little bit interesting because while, yes, I do think it was annoying to hit that button multiple times after several refreshes, I am wondering if that 100 battle tag is based off of data or it's just where they could have gotten that number. I think it is a very rare situation where people are doing 100 battles at once, but I don't know shit, and they have data on that. Still a positive change. A new icon next to the unit's name on every unit details screen displays the icon for the era in which that unit was released. Tapping the icon will create a pop-up with the name of that era as well. Okay, cool. That has to do with stuff earlier in the update. Super, whatever. Doesn't matter, but cool. You can now sort your character inventory by relic amplifier level. I really love that because now I can look at my relic 9s and really hone in on just how much my guild needs to love me for the stupid characters that I have brought to relic 9 for them. Looking at you, Hoth Rebel Soldier. We've added new filters to see which characters have upgrades available for Lightspeed tokens, relic amplifiers, Omicron, Zetas, and gear upgrades. Now again, Lightspeed tokens are new. We'll talk about those in a little bit. Any ability upgrade and unit level upgrade filters are also now available for both characters and ships. Number of changes have been made to streamline tutorials for new players and let them get into the holotables. This includes the creation of 2 new quests granted to all players under level 40. So all quality of life changes, all positive things, no problems with any of that at all. Again, there really isn't anything that I have problems with in this update, but there are questions I have, and I do want to talk myself through those questions. This is all solid stuff. And I do want to stress as well that here it is right at the end. We are excited to deliver this to you all and cannot wait to hear your feedback as this is the foundation for our next large update coming later in the year. So it seems like essentially CG has toyed with the spaghetti code on the game and is trying to open things up and really put a lot of effort into this. I am curious about this larger update coming later in the year. I'm sure we'll hear about it sometime around October, November, around the anniversary when we usually get a big drop before they go blank for a month. No problems. It's all good, right? Let's skip back up to the front. Gear and relic changes. Relics at 4 stars. Blah, blah, blah. You read that right. The only requirement is that applying gear pieces at gear 12 needs a character to be level 85 and 4 stars. New relic requirements. Relic 3 requires 5 stars, Relic 4 requires 6 stars, and Relic 5 Plus requires 7 stars. This will be retroactive, which means all old characters are going to have this. RIP, why is General Hux G12, and is this dude cheating memes? I really miss those, or I'm going to miss those in the near future. This is really cool. In the late game, my initial thought is that this doesn't really affect me, but then I had some second thoughts, and I realized that, yeah, actually it does. We're going to skip how this affects me first, because there are some questions that I have here, and I kind of want to talk myself through. We go into the journey guide, and we look at, like, a journey, like, Padme, a good example, I don't know. Padme is a good example, right? Her requirement is 7 stars and separatists for the top tier. Is this changing at all? Are we saying that things like Padme are going to require these characters to be at 7 stars, even though they are, for some players, going to be at relics? If yes, does this really speed up the early game for these players? I have no idea. But then we have more confusing ones like Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, right? Requirement 7 stars, relic tier. Well, I guess it's not. Confusing, right? Is all of this staying the same, or we have dual requirements, relic tier 3 and 7 stars, or is this shifting around? Our journey guide's gonna remain unaffected? I think it's an interesting talking point because I kind of see it as a weird gray area when you have characters all at Relic 3 and you're excited, you're using them in other game modes, but you're not able to get the journey guide. At the same time, I do see the monetization value of pushing people to also need the 7-star upgrade. I guess we'll actually find out about that later today when this update pushes to see if that has been changed or not. Let's see with Galactic Legends if any of this is changing. This seems to only need relic materials, so this is where things might get a little bit strange. There is no 7-star requirement on GL units. And some of these events are brain dead easy, right? So are players going to be able to get some of these GL quicker than they are going to be able to get their journey guide, simply because a majority of characters take like SLKR, and the majority of these being Relic 3 and Relic 5 requirements, and only really needing 2 or 3 characters at Relic 7. I think it's an interesting oversight. I do hope that they remove the starring amounts from solo journeys just to make that easier for those players who are kind of trapped in the early and mid game. I am aware that starring characters does give them additional stat boosts. For those who don't know, I can't show you because I have pretty much everything at 7 stars, but when you take a character to the next star amount, they get a modifier to their strength, agility, and tactics, which increases everything else, right? So you do get into a situation where maybe a 4-star Relic 3 character is not as effective as you would like, even though it'll be more effective than nothing. There are 2 concerns that I have with this. Concern number 1 is kind of like a double-edged sword. We already know that CG is looking at the undermans on this raid and determining whether they're going to nerf them or not. Right? I believe that this update as an overall signals an expectation that we are likely to see some degree of nerf on undermans. Not all of them. I think that that's the primary thing is CG is trying to figure out a way, where the ones that are not really affecting the bottom line are not going to be affected, and the ones like the clone split are going to be affected. Again, this is all speculation. The reason that I think this is because the raid itself does not have a starring requirement other than 5 stars here. What that means is, unless they change something, getting to 3 stars, 900,000 max possible, or 3 Relic 3, is not actually going to be terribly difficult, right? 5-star requirement. Everyone should have that for Bad Batch. Anyone who's serious about this raid should have that for clones at this point. Even your overall Jedi Vanguard, right, should be at 5 stars, even if Depa is completely useless without Jedi Master Mace Windu. But effectively, what I want to point out here is that players who originally maybe were only doing 300,000 with Bad Batch, as an example, might possibly be able to triple that score to 900,000. Players who are doing that with clones, right? Again, maybe they were doing 300,000 before. Now they'll do 900,000. If they change those undermans, I think it will disproportionately affect the later game players and the mid-late game players, but will have an overall positive effect on the early and mid-game players. It allows a stepping stone where more of your guild is going to be able to do more of the raid without having to be a big spender, right? Same thing. Uh, Actually, you would need either 900,000. This would be 7 stars because of Relic 5 requirement. The other concern that I have is I'm wondering if this is going to set up an update like Marvel Strike Force, where they have yellow stars and red stars. And I can't specifically talk fully about it because I don't fully understand the system myself, nor do I play Marvel Strike Force anymore. But I am curious if this is setting the foundation for a system like in Marvel Strike Force, where characters at 3 and 4 stars are still useful, and there's another starring level on top. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because, again, it is all speculation, but it is a mild concern on a positive update. Now, late last night while my wife was in the shower, my guild leader messaged me and said, "Hey, can we chat on the phone?" And we did. And he kind of asked me, Egnards, I don't understand why they're doing this. I don't see what the positive is for CG. I want to stress before I say this, and let's pop over for a second here. I want to stress before I say this a reminder that I do believe everything in this update is positive, even if what I'm about to say may sound negative. I do believe that this is part of the fundamental change of pushing out the idea of the whales being on top and being the only spending metric that CG cares about. We have seen a marked change in how monetization works in this game over the last year and a half. We have seen them trying to capitalize on the dolphin market, on the shark, minnow, beta fish, clownfish market, whatever you want to call it. We have seen them saying, we don't want every spender spending $300. We are okay with all of these spending levels in between. And I do think that that is part of this. I believe that the majority of the people who are currently 7-starring things will continue to 7-star those things, and they will continue to get a benefit for doing so. However, I do think that this update provides a little bit more incentive to players to bring characters to 5 or 6 stars in a timely manner, because it is signaling to those players, hey, your character that you purchase will be useful before they are 7 stars, right? Right now, my Captain Athano, we'll go back over here. Right now, my Captain Athano sits at 4 stars, right? A little bit messed up because of the change in the era battle. That'll almost definitely be rectified now that I know that my character will be useful. He sits here useless. Doesn't even have full mods on yet because I haven't finished his mod set. I don't expect to see him in a squad for another 4 to 6 months. With this update, I am saying to myself, hey, wait a second. If I buy one more marquee pack, I can bring him to Relic 3. And if I can bring him to Relic 3, I can put him in a pirate squad as my 5th squad in the raid. He can be my raid leader under Hondo and SM33. And maybe I can turn the 450k I'm currently getting into 900k. Is that a possibility? I don't know right now, but it is signaling to me that maybe I want to bring characters, all of them, to 5 stars instead of just the first character, which is going to increase spending on the lower and mid end. I don't think that that's a negative thing, and I do think that CG is probably seeing trends in their spending that is saying that this is the way to go. I do think that they should be praised for this because it does even out the game just a little bit for the people who are willing to support the game at the $20 a month level or the $30 a month level. Whether I am right or wrong will remain to be seen, based on what we see over the next month and how they change, different aspects of the game up. Obviously, those characters will not be allowed in ROTE because that is a Relic 5. Okay, so a 7-star. Well, let me see. I want to just double check. So a 7-star requirement, right? They will be allowed in the raid, presumably. They will be allowed. Well, I guess they are allowed in GAC right now, but they will be relicable, which will means that they will be able to use datacrons, right? So I think it is a solid move that CG is doing this. Moving on to the last portion of this update. Where is it? Good. Or the other big portion. Lightspeed tokens coming to the game. Lightspeed tokens are a new consumable that instantly upgrades a character to a specific power level. Think of it like an item that will boost specific characters, similar to the hyperdrive and Lightspeed bundles. They come in 5 tiers. Okay. Level 1 will give you a level 85 3-star gear 10 ability level 3 character. Level 5 will give you a level 85 7-star relic 5 ability. Things that we need to know here. Lightspeed token is tied to a specific list of characters when it is released, and that list will never be updated. There's no reason to save them. Lightspeed tokens are all data in the game, and they will expire 6 months after the date of and time you acquired them. Use them when you get them. Initially, Lightspeed tokens can only be used for characters from the Legacy era. Everything before the era of the Apprentice that started on November 19th with Hu Yang. Generally, tokens are for units from eras that ended at least a year ago. Launch factions, the first Lightspeed tokens available will be for smugglers and separatists. You cannot use these on journeys, conquest guides, territory battles, raid rewards, or galactic legend characters. They will not apply Zeta or Omicron abilities. Okay, so it seems, and these will be rewards in the store as well as in the free tier of the episode passes. So this Lightspeed token update is kind of cool. They're like targeted Lightspeed bundles. Seemingly there will be some for free. I'm assuming that like lower tier ones, tier 1 to 3 will be free. Tier 5 will be something that you pay for. But hey, if tier 3 is free and I can get characters past the G12 requirement without having to use G12 gear, that is super awesome. This is a very powerful catch-up mechanic for players. And at first I said to myself, this is probably not going to be useful for me at all, right? I have every separatist except for Poggle at G12. And then I looked at my smuggler. Oh, actually, my smugglers are not there. I think I looked at my scoundrels and got confused. But I think that what's going to end up happening for late game players is it's going to allow them to just bring up the ends of their rosters and build their GP a little bit more effectively without having to spend the gear. Essentially, right now, I could bring probably about 8 of these characters to relic levels. Unfortunately, this G12 gear is also super important to me when it comes to new characters and when it comes to scavenging for relic materials, so I take this very slowly. I am excited to eventually, I don't know if these tokens are going to change every era, but to eventually be able to bring some of my missing bottom tier tunes up to where they need to be. If you have a Lightspeed token and those tokens are not useful to you at all, you have no characters that can use them, you will be able to deconstruct them for some materials at the lowest tier, some shock prods and battle computers. At the highest tier, some lower level relic material. It doesn't seem like a ton. It doesn't seem like a big deal. But again, if this is something that I am predominantly getting for free, um, 3 plus 10 is better than nothing. Some other things to keep in mind here. Unit level is no longer gated by your player level. Awesome. That's going to help players at the lower end. Units now have all their abilities unlocked right from the start, except for some exceptions. General Skywalker, Marin, and Night Sister Zombie. Unit ability tiers are no longer gated by unit's gear tier. Unit level no longer gates ability upgrades. The only exception are Zeta and Omicron abilities, which keep their original requirements. Ship reinforcement abilities are no longer gated by star level, and ship ability upgrades are no longer gated by crew gear level. Again, something not changing. Capital ship ability upgrades are still gated by star level. This is a solid update, guys. Like I'm super. There's not a lot that changes this for me, but you know, again, I am concerned about the raid. Right now, we don't have that information. Right now, that's not changing. That won't change, for at least until the next update, which is 2 weeks from now. And I am looking at this and I am thinking, okay, hey, there are a lot of people in my guild who are free to play, who are struggling with the clones, who are, still finishing up Bad Batch for whatever reason. And those players will now be able to contribute to the raid a little bit more actively, which may push us to the next box. I'm pumped. I'm ready for this. My body is ready. My flesh is willing. Yesterday, ironically, I had said in a Reddit comment of a player who was quitting the game that at my lowest point playing this game, I was about a 3 of 10 satisfaction. At my highest point, it was like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. And that right now I'm sitting at a 5 out of 10 because of a few smaller but questionable decisions that CG has made in the very recent past. This has gained me back some confidence. I think I'm somewhere around a 6 or a 6.5 at this point. It is a minor change for players like me, but I do try to look at things from the perspective of all of the people playing this game, from the community in this game, and I see this as a great new start for players maybe looking to get into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes for the first time, or for players looking to come back and wanting an easier time. The only major addendum I would make to this change is that when it comes to journey guides, I think that it would definitely be cool to retool them a little bit to allow for low star unlocks. It'll make for an interesting point of contact for a lot of creators in the mid game and help them out and help them grow. It would help a lot of lower level players to feel like they are progressing a little bit faster. And fundamentally, it is not going to alter the end game at all. I'm excited for this, and I am excited, a little nervous, but excited to see what we see in the future with the extension of this update. Let me know what you think. I love to hear from you guys, whether it's in the comments or on our Discord. I know we've had some really great, lively discussions over the last couple of days about some game mechanics. We've had some struggles in the past. I'm very proud of you guys for being more structured lately. So hit me up here, there, everywhere. Roy Kent, Egnards. We'll find out later today. Peace out, and have a great rest of your day.